share with you. It's a big question that you asked me. It might take me a few hours, but you give me 4 minutes, so I'll try my best. First of all, I think we must be clear about the role of science, technology, and innovation. If we talk to the people in the university, we mainly talk about science or technology development. But in this room, I gather that we concentrate more on the role of science and technology for development, which is much more diverse, much more important than the development of technology itself. Certainly, we have been talking a lot about innovation these days. Thailand, for example, we think we are transforming as a society from a labor-intensive economy to a more productivity-based economy. But now, if we still run our country in this productivity mode, we'll be left behind. Because now we need to scale ourselves up to innovation-oriented economy, which does not mean only the economic development, but more importantly, on the social development, environment as well. So when we talk about nexus, I certainly agree that we need to do a lot of integration, especially in terms of water, food, and energy. But thinking this morning over a cup of coffee, I think we may need to be more innovative on this nexus issue. For example, a nexus may be water, food, and income rather than energy alone, because energy is just part of the puzzle of economic development, of climate change, mitigation, and so on. So I just leave you at that, because we need to be more innovative, especially in policy making today. Thailand itself certainly has a lot of plans, and we have science, technology, innovation plan. We have the national plan. At the moment, we are looking long into the future. We are having a 20-year plan so that we can do things in a more concrete and have better focus than in the past. And everything we do, we need some kind of roadmaps rather than just blank statements or agreements. Because our experience is that even though you have a lot of wonderful plans, but without good implementation, you're not going anywhere. So I would say that Thailand is at the phase where we realize that we have to do or implement the plan in a more meaningful way. Now, given the small amount of time that I have, I just want to briefly address 3 key issues that I think are important for either the success in the past or at present, or the challenges that we are going into the future. First, and I think it's probably the most important, but normally people would put it as a last statement, and that is the promotion of education and human resources. I think today it must be at the forefront. And that's why, for example, in Thailand, we are looking at STEM education across the whole range, not only in education, but also in our workforce as well. Luckily, in Thailand, we have been pretty much focused on the scholarship for our young students, the gifted education. So today, we have an army of good people who are very well educated. But the challenge is how to put them in the most effective place and work so that they'll contribute. For example, in my ministry, we have sent out over the past 20 years more than 4,500 students overseas, mostly PhDs. At the moment, we have 2,700 back to Thailand, spreading out throughout the country, some in universities, some in research centers. I'm planning to get them together, 2,700 of them, to work for certain issues that are very meaningful for Thailand this year and next year, not the next decade. We also have a lot of Even though we are less than perfect in our education, today we are discussing a lot about how to change our legacy system into a more innovative education, learning, and creativity. It's very difficult, but we must try. University research has been doing well, but they should do better. They should avoid being in the comfort zone. This might be a too strong a word, but there's some meaning to it. Second issue that I would like to address is the private sector. Government alone cannot push a lot of agenda. Government alone will hit the barriers, roadblocks, bureaucracy. So now we are encouraging our private sector to do more, especially in investing in innovation and in research, something that they haven't done much in the past. But through a lot of financial incentives, tax incentives, human resource development, they are doing more today. Even innovative measure in human resource is so important. Today in Thailand, a lot of large enterprises would like to invest in research, but they lack capable researchers. The government opened up the door so that public researchers, university lecturers, university researchers can work with them even on a full-time basis. And this is so healthy because in the past, there are two separate entities. Government people cannot work for the private industry. Now we are open the door and we have more than 150 university researchers working with the private sector today. And they'll come back with hands-on experience. And university will also benefit. That's one of the examples. The third issue that I'd like to raise at this point is community level development, which I think is very important. A lot of times we talk about science and technology, but it's always mainstream. It's always for the benefits of the large economy, large companies. But for many years now, we have been working at the grassroots level. But the key thing is to get them to do it themselves. Don't bring things to them. Offer things to them. Offer money to them. It's not going to be sustainable. We have done this, especially in community level water management system. At the moment, we have more than 600 best practices villages that are helping themselves, some of whom can read satellite image data. Many of them can plan the topology of the waterway when flood arrives. And this is real. This is something that we are more than happy to share with you. We're also using a lot of high technology for the disadvantage, recognizing the fact that the word inclusive innovation must mean that high tech can also be useful to the underprivileged, not only to Bangkok, or not only to the engine of growth in big companies. And here, our satellite data have been very useful. Our museum have been very useful. Our nanotechnology have been very useful for community level activities, for example. Even our design capability now is now passing from the metropolitan area, from fashion house, from packaging experts to the OTOP products at the village levels. Last but not least, we also have some models of trying to preserve our forest area. For example, an area where my ministry looks after is a forest called Sakarat in the province of Nakhon Ratchasima. Over the past 48 years, we have lost less than 1% of forest area because of the model. And I must insist, you have to have good model in order to preserve this. A model of trying to get the inner circle contain the biodiversity that they used to have, the model in which you have to live with the local people, but encourage local people to love the forest and to live with the forest and not to destroy the forest. Last but not least, I think all of these we have done quite a lot. However, we still have to do a lot more. For example, we have to concentrate a lot on the cross-agency integration, cross-agency work, very important. Ministry of Science and Technology alone can do very little. We can be a very good enabler, but if we don't collaborate with our fellow ministries, it will take us very long in order to finish some of the work. We also need to work very closely with the private sector. And today, we are entertaining an idea of PPPP rather than just PPP. Not only public-private partnership, but also public-private partnership. And this is under the scheme that the current government is trying to push, and that is called Pracharat, and that is the integration of all these three parties together. Hopefully, it will stay, and hopefully, it will create an environment as well as atmosphere of cordial working together for local community development, for industrial sector development, as well as for national development, such as climate change, for example. Thank you very much.